What's up, homies? Welcome to another episode of the Homeys Real Estate Podcast. This is your host, Anthony.
I'm Angel.
I'm a realtor.
I'm a lender.
And together, we're going to break down this crazy real estate market. We got another legendary podcast. Last week, we went over how you should find the right agent for you, especially if you're looking to purchase in this extremely competitive seller's market. So now we're going to be going over how to find the right lender for you. And no, it's not always the lender that has the lowest interest rate. So we got a list of questions. Myself as a realtor, I'm going to ask Angel these questions. He's going to go ahead and give you the answers and give you a good idea of what questions you should be asking, what answers you should be looking for when you start to interview to find the right lender for you. So with that said, Angel, let's just hop into the first question. Should you interview to find the right lender?
Definitely. I would say find, if you can interview with 3 lenders, I would ask the realtor you're working with, if that's who you're starting with first, to ask them for recommendations. With the lenders also, of course, review their reviews, right? Or review their reviews of past clients, right? So one thing to keep in mind when you're shopping with these 3 lenders, you want to try to get it done in a 2-week period. So when you run your credit inquiries, it should only count as 1 inquiry as long as you get it done, I believe, within 14 days, right? So yeah, I would definitely speak to your realtor. That's usually the first point of contact. Then maybe some family, friends who've purchased in the past, if they had a positive experience with their lender, that's also a good place to get some recommendations from and see, just talk with a few of them and see which one fits you the best.
Yeah, that's really, really key. Put a couple nuggets there. Number 1 nugget is you should definitely reach out to your realtor if you have one and ask who their preferred lender is and see, how competitive they are and go ahead and interview them. And then also to keep it to, within 2-week time frame. That way you're not consistently getting inquiries on your credit score.
Yeah.
Angel, what type of lenders are there?
So I'll go over them real quickly. There's direct lenders. So those are going to be Loan Depot, PennyMac, New American Funding. Those are some big ones. Online lenders, there's the Rocket Mortgages, the Ally Bank, the Better.com, Better.com. Those are the big online ones. The big banks, of course, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, just to name a few. Then, of course, you guys have the credit unions, local credit unions, big credit unions, Navy Federal Credit Union, Alliant Credit Union, and then Schools First Credit Union, things like that. And then, of course, there's mortgage brokers, which brokers, you're never going to really find a big broker name because they're really mom and pop shops, right? And how brokers work is they work with wholesale banks, right? So there's no right or wrong answer of which one you should work with. Maybe shopping with a few of them to see where their rates are at, to see what services they offer is going to get you a better idea of what bank might be the best for you to work with.
Yeah, absolutely, Angel. So thank you for breaking down those different types of lenders. And just remember that different types of lenders do offer different types of service, typically different type of interest rates. And as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, sometimes the lender that has the best interest rate or the lowest interest rate isn't always going to be the best lender for you, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. I'm not personally the biggest fan if you're a first-time home buyer going with a lender that doesn't have the best service. If you don't have a lender that's going to be able to turn around and give you same-day mortgage estimates, is going to be able to answer the questions for you on the weekends, stuff like that, then that might not be the best lender for you. But if you've already purchased multiple homes in the past and maybe you just want to get the lowest possible rate because you already know what to expect, then yeah, by all means, go with the lender that's maybe an online lender that can offer a much lower interest rate, or not much lower, but a lower interest rate because they have lower overhead, right? So it's just something to consider. Yeah. With that said, Angel, what should you look for in a lender?
So just kind of how you mentioned, I'll just go over them real quick, but to briefly touch on them. Obviously, interest rate is important, and the fees that are associated not only with the interest rate, but closing costs in general. Availability is very important, right? The communication with you, their knowledge, and then the market expertise, right? Very similar to what we said last podcast with the realtors, just really adding in that interest rate. So like Anthony said, interest rate isn't necessarily everything. It is very important. It's going to definitely be one of the top 2-3 things to look at when you're shopping for mortgages. But there's certain, like, for example, and I've had this happen to me. Someone will go with another person because they beat me by maybe eighth of a percent. So to give you an example, let's say I was at 4.25 and they were at they were at 4.25 and I was at 4.375. So it was just a little bit of a difference, right? But other things, their other service, the rest of their customer service and communication sucked, right? Like it wasn't worth it for that client, and they end up coming back to me because they're like, no, like it's not, like they're not delivering me, like you were answering my questions right away, you're making it happen for me, making sure that I felt comfortable throughout the process, right? So interest rate's a big one, and then one thing to keep in mind is sometimes these lenders, and not saying it's a bad thing or anything, I just like to disclose everything to my clients, right? So they can give you an interest rate, but you might be paying for that interest rate, right? So it's like, yeah, you're getting a better rate than with this lender than you would with me, but they're not telling you you're paying an extra $2,000 for the rate, right? So depending how a lender sells their rate may just seem like that's just a standard fee that comes with the interest rate, when sometimes it isn't, right? That's just something you're paying on top to get the lower rate, that many other banks can do the same thing, or they all can do the same thing as have you pay to lower your interest rate, right?
I want to jump in on that, Angel. So like Angel mentioned, interest rates, they aren't the all
end all be all.
Say it one more time.
End all be all.
End all be all. I don't know why I couldn't get that out of my mouth. It isn't the end all be all. Especially right now when interest rates are so much higher, chances are interest rates are gonna drop back down, probably to pre-pandemic levels, maybe 3%, high 3%, potentially even the 2%. So it's not like you're going to be locking in this rate for the 30-year mortgage. No, a lot of the times you're locking it in for a couple years and then you're refinancing. So what you really care about is just a lender that has the best possible service for you throughout the next, 2-3 months when you start to look for a home. And a lot of the times, if you have a very good lender who's going to put in the work to help you walk through the process, to give you that market expertise, you will actually save money on the offer, as opposed to in that little minuscule amount of interest rate that you're going to be saving. So it's something to really keep in mind. It's not like you're locked in forever for 30 years. You have the ability to refinance, and you more than likely will when interest rates drop back down.
Correct. Yeah, that's a very, very good point that Anthony brings up. And then one thing too, not only with interest rate, but one thing to mention is closing cost, right? So not all loan estimates, just how all rates are not created equal at every bank, not every loan estimate that a lender gives you is equal, right? So it's not like every lender is going to tell you closing cost is 2 to 2.5%, right? Some lenders, unfortunately, will try to show you a brighter side where, closing cost is only 1% of the purchase price. Just so on paper, when you're receiving that estimate, it looks like you're paying less in closing costs, when in reality, once you're in escrow, you're going to be able to see that those closing costs are actually higher than what they quoted, right? Yes. So every lender is different. Some are going to quote a little higher, some are going to quote in a good ballpark, and then some are going to quote less, right? I try to keep it a little bit higher just so when you do get your loan estimate, you get the best, or when you do get your final loan documents, it's actually a little better than what I said, right? So, and that's something I'll go over you and be transparent about. But I've had that happen where one lender has more bank fees, like, right, the actual fees with the bank is more than the fees that I have. So I have less fees. Like, I don't have a processing fee. Maybe they have a processing fee, right? That's $1,000, $1,200, but they're underestimating title and escrow fees, and I'm overestimating title and escrow fees, which has nothing to do with us at the bank. Those are fees we're going to find out once we're in escrow, right? What those fees look like. Or they're underestimating the amount of prepaid and reserves you need. They're saying, you only need 3 months of property taxes up front, and I'm more at the 6 to 7 month range, right? So those are things that lenders, they're not all going to, not necessarily, they're not trying to be transparent. I'm not trying to say that, but they can make a loan estimate look a little prettier than another bank, but it's not necessarily that when it's all said and done, it's going to be a prettier loan estimate, right? So those are things to consider as well. But yeah, availability, I'll just go over it real quick. Availability is very important. When you're working with the big banks and the credit unions and even the online lenders, a lot of times what happens is you try to call them on the weekend, they're not going to answer your call, right?
Yeah, I can
You try
speak
to
to
call
that.
them, you try to call them past 5 p.m., they're not going to answer your call, right? So you have to get to them next day. Then when you ask them for something, it's going to take a little bit of while. It's going to take a little while, right? And sometimes you may need something, or your realtor might need something from the lender, and instead of, like, when me and Anthony work together, if Anthony needs something from me that's your guys's, I'll give it to him directly. Whereas sometimes you go to like a big bank and they're like, oh, I can't give it to you directly, the realtor. You need to call. I've heard what's happened is the client has to call in to ask for the document to give to the realtor, which can make things a little bit more complicated and can prolong things, right? So those are things to keep in mind. If you need someone to be available and answer questions, especially after you just looked at a house, you want to know what the payment's going to look like. You want to know how quick can we get it closed, what's contingency periods looking like, things like that. You may not be able to speak to a representative or your lender right away, right? Communication, again, kind of goes with that availability, is making sure that someone can communicate with you when you need it. With the bank, you're getting my personal cell phone number. So if you call me or you text me, I'm going home with that message, right? Whereas at the bank, if they just miss the call and you leave a voicemail and they don't get to it till the next day, you're not going to hear it till the next day, right? So communication is important. Knowledge, of course, is important. Understanding what's going on in the market right now, similar to the market expertise, understanding what you have to do right now to make sure that you can get your offers accepted in this market is very important. Very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely, Angel. So thank you for elaborating on each one of these. And this really just emphasizes that interest rates is not everything. It really does come down to service. I think I put service above the interest rate if the interest rates are, within 0.5%, in my personal opinion. Yeah. And that's the experience that I've seen a lot.
Excuse me, I'm going to cut you off. I think a better range is within 1/4 to 1/8, more of 1/8. Like, sometimes there's rates, and I'll be honest, I got beat by, with your realtor, Bonnie. She's on Anthony's team, by Bank of America, by a good amount, and I'm surprised. Bank of America, usually I'm right there, or usually beat Bank of America, but this client had a special circumstance where they were able to give him a phenomenal rate. And I told the client, take it all day. Like, yes, you might not close as quick as you would with me, or you might not get the level of service you're used to that you've been getting with me, but like, this rate is especially in this market with the fluctuating rates, they can give you this. Take it all day. They did take a little longer to close. I think it was closer to like a 45-day escrow, if I'm not mistaken, on that one, whereas ours would have been about 21 days, somewhere around there. So there's some pros and cons with going with both. I'm not saying that the big banks are a bad option, or that me on the mortgage broker side is a bad option, or direct lender, whatever the case. Every scenario is different, and I think it's important to, if you are working, if you can find a lender that's going to be straight up and forward with you. Like, I don't waste my clients' time. If I think something's better for them, I'll tell them, like, look, you need to take that. You need to take that offer. And, I ask them about the contingencies. I ask them about how quick can they close. And if that all lines up good, then I would say, why not work with these people if you think it's going to make the most sense for you?
Yeah, absolutely, Angel. So what system or process does a lender have to ensure the best service?
Yeah, good question. So, this podcast is a good one. Like, so I have I don't necessarily post it on my own YouTube, but I always can tell my clients, if you want some lending information, how the process works, feel free to listen to the Homeys podcast, right? We give out a first-time home buyer's guide when we get people pre-qualified. So things you need to look at, do's and don'ts of when you're looking for a home, different flyers like that to keep the borrowers informed. Weekly check-ins is big right now. Same day mortgage estimates, right? Or if you need a payment, we get that the same day. Group chat with daily updates. So if the realtor is going to put us in a group chat with them, if they have any questions, they can put a question in the group chat, we'll answer it. And then how quick can we close right now is a big one, right? Like, how can we get it done in 14 days, 21, 30? As far as the closing times, it all depends per client. If some clients is, all right, like, I know we can get this done in 14, 15 days, 17-day escrow seems very doable. Some clients most clients are probably going to fall between that 21 day or less range. And then there's those special clients where I would probably might need 30 days for, right? Just because of this or that, or they're not technology, savvy. They take a while to get documents to me. A big thing on how quick we can close is your cooperation with us. And that's not only for me, that's going to be for any lender. How quick they can close a lot of times is how quick can you get them documents and make sure that we're submitting things as quick as possible.
Yeah. Thanks, Daniel. That's a really good explanation right there. I think another one that we didn't touch on is a pre-approval packet, right? And
yeah,
so a pre-approval letter, the DU or the desktop underwriting, proof of funds,
yeah,
list of credit scores. These are all things that a lender is gonna need when he submits an offer. And if you have that ahead of time, you don't have to worry about asking for it when you're about to submit an offer, because there are some lenders, and I've had a situation before for me and for several other agents on our team and at our office, that they didn't have the desktop underwriting or the DU ahead of time, or they didn't have a certain proof of funds or whatever it would be ahead of time. And because it's not formulated in a nice packet like Angel will deliver to you, or maybe any other lender would deliver to you, it's just a pain in the butt to try to get it the same day you're going to submit an offer. And sometimes you don't get it the same day, and then you have to submit a later offer, and that's never a good thing. So you just always want to have a lender that's going to provide you a nice, clean pre-approval packet that has the pre-approval letter, the DU, credit scores, proof of funds.
Hell yeah, I agree 100%. And I think for like me as a lender, I like doing that too, because I don't like feeling that rush in the end, like, oh, I need to get this for my clients. Like my clients need this ASAP. I like knowing that my realtors have it. They're always going to be able to submit offers, and it's going to look professional every time they submit an offer, right? So that's a good thing that we do have in our system that we continue to, it's been, I think, very helpful for agents. And I do notice there are, I think, more and more too lenders doing that, the packets, and I think it's really good, really, really good thing to have. But yeah, let me see if any of these I should, weekly check-ins, I'll just get on that to really quick. I like to just call my clients if they have any questions, right? Like maybe they have a question on where's the market at today, where are rates going. So those are things I like to just check in, especially in this market with the constant change in rates. If they have any questions, any concerns, how their home search is going, things like that. So we try our best to check in with them every week. Same day mortgage estimates, I think, has been a very, very, very helpful for my clients and the realtors too. So realtors text me, hey, what's the payment on this? I'm showing them a property. I usually text back, of course, if I'm not busy, right? Within, I would say, no more than 30 minutes? Somewhere around there. Probably less, but like around 30 minutes, because it's really quick to just put a payment up and get the realtors and the clients knowing, like, all right, like this is what your payment will look like on this property. So yeah, there's definitely our processes we have in place, and there's other things, we do, but I think those are some big ones that when you're looking for a lender, those are things that are helpful. And then a lot of these processes, again, how Anthony said, is good for first-time home buyers. Like it's very, very useful for first-time home buyers. And that's where, again, a rate's amazing, but if there's no process in place, and you're like, sometimes as a first-time home buyer, you can feel desperate for information because you want to make sure you're making the right choice, right? Such a big purchase. And if, the rate's better, but you're not getting any response from your lender that you have right now, then it's, it's not worth it. And we can continue. We'll continue on.
But I, like Angel said, I would say availability, being able to provide those weekly check-ins that people know, hey, interest rates went up. This is how it's affecting your qualification amount. And then also those same day mortgages, or same day mortgage estimates are the things that I'm always asked for. And then I always have to refer them over. Oh, this is something that your lender can help you out with, because unfortunately I don't have access to that information. So yeah, it's something that you definitely want to keep in mind when you're interviewing for a lender. So one of the most important questions to ask a lender in this market with limited inventory is, how will you help me find a home? So Angel, what are some things a lender should do?
All right, we're gonna make sure you're pre-approved, right? Like, and what I mean by that is we're gonna try to get all the documents up front. Sometimes I can be a little picky with it and like, oh, I need this, I need that. It's not to make your life harder, but it's actually to make your life easier once you're currently in the process of escrow and you're purchasing your property, right? We want to make sure we oversee any potential hiccups. So that's one thing I'm very big on is, like, if I need If I need this certain document, like let's go ahead and see it up front, because I don't want later we don't have that document, right?
Mhm.
So providing document up front, making sure we have the pre-approval package to when you submit your offer, it looks as professional and as clean as possible, right? Lets the sellers know like we're ready to go and we're ready to get this house, right? Of course, contingencies is going to play a big spot into that. You know, how quick can we close? How quick can we get a loan contingency? How quick can we get an appraiser out there? All those things. And then another thing, aside from like the systems that we kind of already explained, is just networking, right? Like not only do realtors can find those off-market properties or homes that are going to be coming to the market, when I work with my realtors, right, and I have good relationships with my realtors. If they have a listing, and I just had one like that maybe about a month and a half ago, my agent, my buyer's agent, found a client this house, and it was happened to be with my listing agent, or the listing agent happened to be an agent that I work with. And I got on the phone and I told him, what do we need to do to get this house? Like, let's make it happen, bro. Like, I want to get this closed. He wants to work with me because he works with me all the time already. So we're able to get him in escrow just because of the relationship we had already. You know, it's not like not that we're getting you a discount. We still have to, obviously the seller's going to do his, what's it called? Fiduciary duties to their seller, making sure they get them top dollar. But if our client's willing to go to that amount, and we're able to get them in, it's can definitely help you guys out, make it a lot easier, right? So building those connections with realtors, or maybe not even a realtor that I necessarily work with, but I just have a relationship with, like, hey bro, I would love to try to get this deal closed for you, get your client top dollar, like let's go ahead and let's see what we can do to make this work, things like that. So it's happened a few times. I think we've had a couple with Anthony where Anthony didn't know the agent, but I knew the agent, and we were able to actually get him in escrow just because of the relationship that we had. So that's one thing definitely that will help you find a home, that hopefully I think a lot of lenders will try to do that as well, you know, if it's possible. So I always keep my ear out and hearing, oh, I have this listing coming, and I try to think of any of my clients that might fit that property, and I let them know of it before it hits the market, which can be beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. So like Angel said, you know, one of the most important questions that you should ask a lender is, how will you help me find a home? And that's providing all that documentation ahead of time so that you're pre-approved, that there isn't any hiccups, and you're able to write a very strong offer right then and there, because homes are selling in 9 days or less in Los Angeles County. It's to network with listing agents. Lenders work with a lot of agents, and if they have that inside scoop, it might help you get the home. A lender should be able to call the agent that submitted an offer for and put in a good word. Let them know the financial standing, and that we ensure that we'll be able to close in a timely and orderly fashion. And then also just to provide, you know, those weekly updates and let the buyers know, hey, this is what the market looks like. Hey, this is how the interest rate is going to affect your qualification amount. Hey, this is what we should do to position our offer in a much better way.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So the last question, this one's really important, and this is one that gets overlooked so much. How will the lender help me after purchasing my home?
Great question, and I'll be 100% honest on this. I need to get better at this, right? So just something that is very, very important. So some things, and these are systems I already have, I just got to kind of put it in place now. With we mentioned on the last podcast, HomeBot, a system that I have for all my buyers. I just need to throw them all on there. But on there, it's going to give them, you know, market updates on, you know, what's their home going for, how much equity do they have, an idea of rates, if it makes sense to refinance. I'm pretty good at that, letting clients know, okay, hey, if you're interested in a refinance right now, might be a good time for you. Your rate makes sense, and makes sense. You can drop your payment a couple $100s, few hundred, depending on the situation, and then, you know, quarterly or half a year check-ins at least, you know, something, again, I need to get better at myself, I will admit that, but those are things you should look for in a lender as well. That are they gonna care for your interest after? Because again, when you purchase your property, that first mortgage that you have, you're most likely not gonna have it for more than 7 years, right? So to have a lender there to guide you and let you know when it makes sense to refinance, right? Or let you know when you might have equity to take out of your property, let you, you know, for you to be there. And one thing I tell all my clients, and I constantly get texts all the time from past clients, is I always tell them, I am here whenever you need any questions. When you close your property, you get a lot of like junk mail, about refinancing, about home warranty, all these like things that sometimes are scamming stuff. Like, and I tell them, if you have any questions, you're gonna get that mail, give me a call. And they always call me or send me a picture, and I tell them, oh, don't worry about that. Or like, yeah, this is, this has to do with your supplemental taxes. You have to pay this, or that's a copy of your property tax bill. You don't have to worry about that. It's paid in your mortgage payment. So I think that helps them, that makes them feel comfortable and at ease when they get things that they're not sure if they should be worried about. But it's something in that case, a lot of my clients feel comfortable, and they always send me text or give me a call, and I'm always available for them to, whenever they need me.
Yeah, absolutely, Angel. That's really, really important. So a lot of the value from selecting the right lender doesn't just come during the escrow process or finding the right home, but it comes after escrow, after you close, and providing those market updates and providing those equity updates. Hey, I know you purchased with 5% down, but considering the appreciation, I think we're at 20% now. Maybe it's time to refinance, or maybe it's time to get the property reappraised so we can remove that mortgage insurance and save you $500+ a month. Hey, interest rates have dropped from 5.5% to now 3%. Let's refinance your loan and save you tens of thousands, if not maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars over the cost of the loan, right? And these are very important check-ins to be able to have from a lender that's going to save you so much money. So something you don't not want to overlook, that's going to save you more money likely than that small incremental, 25 basis point or 0.25% interest rate lower that you're going to get from, maybe an online lender or someone else that won't be able to provide that level of service for you, just because they're closing hundreds of loans per year, as opposed to, someone that's doing maybe 5 loans per month. That's going to be able to really give you that white glove service.
Definitely. I 100% agree. There was one thing I wanted to touch on too. Like after you close too, like I've seen this from lenders personally, like they'll have clients call them and they won't even remember their clients, right? Like, and it's not, and it's no knock on them. Everyone runs their business different. And this is from successful people who have done great for themselves in this industry. But like, they don't even have their number saved. They don't, if you call them, they're pretending they remember them, things like that. So like, for myself, I can speak as I have all my clients' numbers in my phone. So if like any past client, I already know like, oh, this is so-and-so, like, how you doing? How's your house been going? How's everything been? Things like that, right? And sometimes, you might even have to think like, oh, who was this? Because this happened years ago, right? And, you help a good amount of people in that time. So it does take a second, but just something simple as that, I'm sure it feels good for you as a client to know when they'll call me and they'll think I don't have their number saved. They'll be like, hey, this is so-and-so. You help me. I'm like, oh yeah, I have your number saved. Like, whenever you need a call, give me a call. Like, it's like, they don't think I remember them, but of course it's important to have someone you can call on the lending side after you close, for sure.
Absolutely. That's integral. So I hope, homies, this gives you a really good idea of what you should be looking for in a lender, what type of questions to be asking. Remember, interest rates are not the end all be all. Sometimes service is going to save you so much more money and make the process so much easier. Angel, where can we find you at?
At Your Mortgage Angel on Instagram.
At Your Mortgage Angel on Instagram. You know where to find us, at Luevanos Group. And with that said, I do want to wish you all the best, homies. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you. Hey, homies, it's Angel from the Homeys Real Estate Podcast. This podcast contains our opinions and is for educational purposes only. It does not guarantee any projections and should not serve as the basis for any purchase or sale in real estate.